is defined as a potential for movement and the ability to get from one place to another using one or more modes of transportation or even walking to meet daily needs. As such, it differs from accessibility, which refers to the ability to access or reach a desired service or activity. But we know that not all places have proper access. Narrow sidewalks, barriers, lack of parking areas, obstructions, illegal parking, broken roads, informal sidewalk dining, poor waste management system, lack of formal terminals of tricycles and jeepneys, and excessive exposure to the sunset. These are just some of the things that affect the smooth flow of people and traffic to my site. Bulacan, Bulacan. Bulacan is a first-class municipality in the province of Bulacan. It is one of the oldest towns in the country, became the Comienda or capital of the Provincia de la Pampanga, and later became the first capital of the province of Bulacan before it was moved to Malolos shortly after the American occupation. The name Bulacan is derived from the Tagalog word bulak, which means cotton. The town was named Bulacan due to the abundance of cotton plants growing in the region. Bulacan is one of the famous municipalities in the province of Bulacan due to its contribution to the agricultural sector and its colorful town festivals. Flores de Mayo was also originated in this town. Here is also located Nuestra Señora de la Asunción, who is also one of the witnesses to historical events in the province. The town is also known for its vibrant culture, rich history, and awesome war heroes. So the province is officially dubbed as the Land of the Heroes, founded in 1578. It was also the scene of battle between the Spaniards led by Simon de Anda y Salazar and the British led by Captain Slay during the short British occupation of Manila. Apparently, the Spaniards with the natives of Bulacan were defeated. Captain Slay eventually took over the town but did not last long. Bulacan is located in Central Luzon on southwestern part of the province of Bulacan and about 35 kilometers away from the city of Manila and has a total land area of 72.90 square kilometers. According to 2015 census, Bulacan has a total population of 76,565 people with a density of 1,100 inhabitants per square kilometer. These are the general parameters when I choose a site. Bulacan is politically subdivided into 14 barangays: Bagong Bayan, Balubad, Bambang, Matungaw, May Santol, Perez, Pitpitan, San Francisco, San Jose, San Nicolas, Santa Ana, Santa Ines, Taliptip, and Tibiu. And 11 of them are included in the 2-kilometer radius. Solid and void was represented by the figure ground map to easily visualize the open spaces and the man-made features. What is built is solid and what is unbuilt is void. The whole site is just near the bodies of water, the Ginto River and the Bang River. The whole site is surrounded by vegetations, plantations, straw plants, and trees. The entire site is not just surrounded by residential houses, it is also close to public buildings such as schools, groceries, businesses, recreational areas, institutions, industrial, and other humanitarian buildings. The site has a good road network as well. The color red represents the major road, and the yellow represents the minor road. The whole area is open to neighboring barangays and municipalities, and the only thing that bind them together are the signages, roads, and the bodies of water. Here you can see the barangays included in the 2-kilometer radius. The site is not only made up of surrounding buildings, it is completed by people who use the area more on a daily basis. People that work in the area, people that work in the streets, and the local. It could be local tourists, and the residents that relate to the cultural and religious destinations. So, by looking at these three main user movements, we can visualize how they interact with the area and their movement as well. And these are the three nodes on the site: Barangay San Jose, Barangay San Nicolas, and Barangay Matungaw. The criteria for selecting nodes are the supporting zones that surround it. on how the mobility of users will be more efficient due to the various activities and services in the area. So here you can see the movements and the usual location of the people or the users based on their activities. The day-to-day situation of the place is based on the type of people and the net activities on a daily basis. So it is interesting to note that some activities happen in the building and others on the streets. Therefore, the interface between the building and the streets became worth looking at. This is Barangay Bagong Bayan. Here you will see the variations of infrastructure in this area and the points where the street activities and the main users are located. Mostly, sidewalk vendors, commuters, market goers, and tricycles can be seen here. And in this diagram, it also shows the estimated number of people at fixed points with new scenarios being formed. I also included here the activities and users of Barangay Batongao and San Nicolas. But in these two areas, only residential houses can be seen here, but the activities that usually take place are the typical scenarios of people in a residential area. I categorize the movement of the people based on their daily activities. The churchgoers, market goers, street vendors, and the general public. The dots represents the destination of the people and the fixed points of the vendors. I have also included here the circulation of vehicles and their routes, particularly the public transportations. The formal and informal terminals are also included on the map. And since we have already identified the elements about circulation and flow, activity and users, the question here is, what are the problems that can affect them? Outdoor temperature is one that affects the productivity and human mobility. Walking outdoors under the summer sun can be a trial. And in the case of the Philippines, not only human comfort is affected, but also human health. In a tropical country like the Philippines, we're experiencing high temperature during dry seasons. And if we're going to consider the average human temperature, the human health might be at risk. That brings us to the question, what is the cause of high temperature in a particular area? Urban heat island occurs when city replaces natural land covers with dense concentration of pavements, buildings, and other surfaces. In this diagram, the one on the left, and then compare that on a map of vegetation on the right, you'll find that where there's greenery, the temperature is lower. And that's because things like asphalt, concrete, and shingle roofs absorb more heat from the sun than trees. But how can the design help not to affect people in these built environment issues? Shadow is a partial darkness or obscurity within a part of space from which rays from a source of light are cut off by an interposed opaque body. But why did I include shadow? According to a recent Israeli report funded jointly by the Ministry of Housing and Construction and the Ministry of Health suggests that when people know there will be shade on their way, they're more likely to walk and ride their bikes and less likely to drive. But what is a simple thing we can do? And how is it related to the movements of the people? If we think about time as a day cycle, light is an important indicator of time. Light, shadow, temperature, and movements are related to one another. When the area is shaded, people walk slower. Compared to being exposed to the sun, the transition is faster. That's why we need to mitigate or at least make an intervention to help users not to be affected by the built environment issues, such as excessive exposure to the sun while walking. This is the conical bamboo pillars located on the sidewalks of 3 nodes. The pillars are equipped by rainwater harvesting concave roof, ornamental plants, Moldex PVC wide 4 inches diameter pipe, and the pillar itself. And for the louvers, slanted louvers provide more protection than those parallel to wall, but angle varies according to the range of solar angles. So to calculate for solar angles for slanted louvers, the optimum tilt angle is calculated by adding 15 degrees to your longitude during winter and subtracting 15 degrees from your latitude during summer. And since we're dealing with thermal heat, especially in the dry season, let's focus more on latitude to get the right angle of the louvers to make it more functional. And based on the latitude of Bulacan, its north coordinate is at 60.9968 degrees of north. And to get the tilt angle, we need to subtract 15 degrees from the latitude. So the optimum tilt angle of the louvers is at 45 degrees. The pillars have another purpose besides providing shade, that is to harvest rainwater using the concave roof to reduce water that goes to the land surface that can cause flooding. The water collected by the concave roof will go directly to the municipal separate storm sewer system. And lastly, the plant attached to the pillars, which is the Hibiscus rosacenesis, has the ability to absorb heat. And besides thermal comfort, Bulacan has issues when it comes to proper access of people and vehicles due to narrow sidewalks and roads, lack of parking areas, road obstructions, and informal terminals. And every street is not biker-friendly because it does not have facilities to make every street bikeable, such as bicycle lane and proper lighting systems. Same goes for pedestrians because the sidewalk just becomes a parking area. So to address this issue regarding mobility, accessibility, and convenience, we made each street more user-centric by making the sidewalks wider for better flow and also to give space to the sidewalk vendors for their food stalls. The roads have been enlarged as well to avoid congestion. The street is also equipped with a bicycle sharing system and a bicycle lane to promote biking and for people to have a more efficient option of transportation. The nodes will also have proper tricycle terminals and proper drop-off points. The conical bamboo pillars with louvers are there for the protection of pedestrians from the heat coming from the sun that also serve as a linear park. So what about the main hub? The main hub is not just a pure transportation hub, it is also a place for eating, waiting, and other light activities because there are food stalls inside. But the main use of this structure is to cater the commuters to have a better area for waiting for transportation. The form is quite organic and parametric because the goal is to match the aesthetic of the structure with the culture of the site. And match aesthetic, form, and the materials to one of the biggest livelihoods of the residents, and that is weaving and farming. The form comes from a solid block, then the block transforms step by step to become a groin vault-like structure. So why groin vault? Since what we need to address is a better mobility. One of the reasons why the roof and the whole structure looks like this is for permeability and easy access, because these four quadrants serves as an entry points for people wherever they come from. And the groin vault alone provides good economies of materials and labor. And another is for passive design, for natural light that can easily penetrate inside and for cross ventilation. And because it's a transportation hub, it's expected to be a bit hot inside, so the roof has vents at the top to vent out the heat from the vehicle's engine because normally hot air goes up. And lastly, the site development plan and the floor plans to easily visualize the space and the separation of automobiles and people.